34 years old, my birthday, no family came. 6 p.m., table full of their favorite food. 7:12 p.m., Mum texted, "We're probably exhausted by the end of next week." I quietly removed them from the family emergency fund, which I had been quietly raising for 2 years. But at midnight, a bank statement popped up, and what it said made me make a decision that would change my life. I'm 34. My birthday invitation said, "Dinner starts at 6 o'clock. No presents, just presents." By 6:45, I realized no one was coming. By 7:12 p.m., my sister texted, "Too far to drive just to come for a birthday." My mom added, "Maybe next weekend, we're exhausted." I didn't argue. I just logged into the foundation account I created 2 years ago, updated all the authorized names except mine. Then I sent a one-line email. "As of today, I've suspended all support." By midnight, my sister called 12 times. Then a push notification lit up on my phone, and what it said completely changed my next decision. I'm 34. My birthday invitation said, "Dinner starts at 6 o'clock. No presents, just presents." By 6:45, I realized no one was coming. I lit the last tea candle and stepped back, taking one last look at the table. The china plates, white with gold trim, were a gift from my aunt, who died last year. I only used them on special occasions. Tonight was supposed to be one of those occasions. I had cooked their favorite dishes. Mom loved my lemon chicken. My sister always insisted I make rosemary potatoes when we left. My cousin Devin, I had made that stupid spinach dip that he always pretended not to like, but devoured in silence. At 6 p.m., I sat at the head of the table. I was even wearing a proper button-down shirt, the kind that still had the dry cleaning label. I poured myself a glass of wine, a light, earthy, warm Cabernet. I didn't expect confetti or balloons. I didn't want to make a scene. I just wanted presents. I didn't ask for presents. I even wrote that on the invitation. "No presents, just yours." That was it. At 6:15, I started checking my phone. A few red receipts. A heart-wrenching reaction to the invitation. No. On the way. No. Stuck in traffic. Nothing. By 6:30, the food was cold and my jaw was clenched. My stomach was churning in that familiar way it always does when something disappointing happens. I'd been here before. Not this exact table, not this exact day, but the same silence, the same avoidance, as if they were allergic to the effort. By 6:45, I finally accepted it. No one was coming. By 7:12, my phone rang. "Too far to drive just for a birthday." My sister texted. No apology, no emoji, nothing. 12 minutes later, my mom chimed in. "Maybe next weekend." We were exhausted. That was it. No one asked how I was feeling. No one cared that I had spent the day cleaning, baking, seasoning, setting the table with candles and memories. No one cared. It was my 34th birthday. I didn't argue. I didn't respond. I just stood there in my quiet apartment, walked over to my laptop, logged into the trust account I'd created 2 years ago. The account I'd quietly used to send money, pay bills, and cover emergencies. I erased every authorized person except my own. Then I typed a line. Simple, brutal, indisputable. As of today, I'd suspended all support activities. My phone started ringing in the middle of the night. My sister called once, then again, then 12 times in total. But it was the push notification at 12:47 a.m. that froze my hand. The message changed everything. The push notification read, "Bank transfer declined. Insufficient authorization." Below was the account name, Martin Family Relief Fund. Then the sender, Cheryl Martin, my mother. She had just tried to wire $3,200. The same woman who couldn't drive that far to attend her son's birthday party. I sank to the edge of the sofa, my glass of wine sloshing down my pants. My hands shook with anger, not surprise. It was the moment the curtain was lifted. The house of cards collapsed. My role, my purpose in this family, had always been the same: the provider, the fixer, the invisible. I wasn't welcome. They depended on me. 2 years ago, when my father's heart attack wiped out their savings, I had stepped in. No questions asked, no lectures, just quietly created a fund in my name, linked it to my corporate account, and started transferring money every month. They called it a family buffer. They treated it like an ATM with emotional receipts. When my sister Illa lost her third job because she didn't fit into the corporate structure, I paid her rent. When my mom's car broke down on the way to bridge club, I wired $600 in less than an hour. When my cousin Devin wanted to rebuild his reputation, I co-signed a small loan. I never got a dime back. Not even a thank you card. And you know what's worse? They never asked me. Not once. Not when I was working 70-week work weeks to hit KPIs and was a senior project leader. Not when I canceled my vacation to send them emergency funds. Not when I started taking sedatives to sleep because I was so afraid someone would text me at 2 a.m. again for help. I remember one moment, one exact moment that is seared into my memory. Last Thanksgiving, I couldn't go home. Work was urgent. I FaceTimed everyone from my empty office, a tray of Chinese takeout in front of me. They passed the phone around like a nuisance. Isla waved, holding a glass of wine, and said, "Same old workaholic feeling." I jokingly asked, "Did you save me a plate?" My mom laughed and said, "Martin, honey, you're not a foodie. That's just how it is. That's where I belong." Useful, unloved, unseen. I replayed those memories as I watched the transfer error screen, then scrolled through the transaction history. My stomach churned. Isla had withdrawn $1,000 3 weeks ago, labeled as professional development. That was the weekend she'd posted a bikini photo in Cancun with the caption, "Find me where there's Wi-Fi and live music." Devin withdrew $500 labeled as car repair. He didn't even own a car, but he played poker at the casino down the interstate. My mom had set up a recurring grocery transfer, $320 every 2 weeks. It had been going on since March. I was paying more to feed her than she was paying to pick me up. And then I realized, they hadn't forgotten my birthday. They had chosen not to come because they didn't need me to be happy. They needed me to be useful. And when I wasn't useful, I was disposable. I got up and pulled out my printed bank statements, the ones I kept in a folder labeled Family Trust. I had tracked every payment, every favor, every dollar drained from my account in the name of love. Love shouldn't leave you empty. At 10:03 a.m., I emailed each of them. No group text, no embellishment, same subject line. Effective immediately, I wrote, "You have withdrawn more than money. You have drained my time, my energy, my joy. I have given without thanks. I have trusted without a receipt. And you have received without limit, without guilt. Effective immediately, I have withdrawn. There will be no more transfers, loans, co-signing, or emergency funds. The fund is closed. The ATM is out of service. I am no longer your financial planner. If you need anything, ask each other or Google. Happy belated birthday to me, M." Then I turned off my phone. I knew what was coming next, and I was ready. At 6:58 a.m., my phone started ringing on my nightstand. It was Isla. I let it ring. Then, oh my gosh, 3 times in a row, I didn't touch it. By 7:11, my voicemail was full. My sister texted, "You're not serious. You're just cutting us off." A second later, "This is really horrible, Martin," like emotionally sick. Then, "Mom, this isn't how families are. We don't punish each other like this. It's ironic, because that's all they've ever done. Punishing me for setting boundaries. Punish me for existing beyond their expectations." I didn't answer. I got up, made coffee, poured oat milk in it like always. My silence screamed louder than anything they'd ever said. But the silence didn't stop them. At 8:24 a.m., Isla appeared at my door. I could see her through the peephole, tapping her foot like a mother waiting to scold her child. I didn't open the door. She knocked harder. I opened the door just enough to look her in the eye. Her lips were curled into a frown. "You're really not letting me in." "I didn't invite you," I said calmly. She snorted and crossed her arms. "Martin, you're insane. You're shutting down the funds. Do you know what that's doing to us?" "You mean you," I said. "You, Cancun, and your digital detoxes." She was taken aback. "Don't pretend to be better than us just because you have a decent job." "I better than you," I said, "because I kept showing up. I paid her rent when her boss fired her for being late every week. I paid for her health insurance when she skipped Cobra. I gave her every security she could ever ask for, and she tore it up like a spoiled brat." Her face hardened. She said she wanted to help. She always said that didn't mean I was contracted to carry everyone's bags for life. She took a breath, reconsidered. She was overreacting. She was just upset about her birthday. "Stop," I snapped. She hadn't forgotten. She'd decided it wasn't worth her time. It was true, wasn't it? Dinner was too far away. Gas was too expensive. Whatever made her sleep easier. She bit her lip but didn't deny it. She was right, she hissed. Congratulations. She heard everyone just to feel powerful for once. I didn't blink. No, I said. I finally also stop hurting yourself just to keep that illusion alive. I closed the door, not slam it. Close it like a chapter, like a coffin. 5 minutes later, my phone lights up again. Mo, this is tearing my family apart. We just need to talk. I reply, you've had 34 years to talk. Now I only hear action. That's when the manipulation machine starts to spin. 10:04 a.m. Group chat called Families created. Isla adds, people need to come together, not fall apart. Devon, man, I have bills to pay. Today, are you serious about this play? Isla, you're punishing Riley too. She's just a kid. She loves you. Riley, my niece, my weakness. It was a smart move, dragging her into this, but I knew the plan. They'd played it out too many times. Guilt, pressure, redirection, repetition. I didn't react. Then the final blow came. 11:42 a.m. Private message from Mom. Your father's heart couldn't take the pressure. If anything happened to him, you would be the one to pay. I dropped the phone like it was on fire. They were still doing it. Still pulling the strings of guilt. Still trying to bend my spine. But something inside me broke. I picked up the phone. I pressed record and spoke into the mic in a voice I'd never used before. This is a message to my family. For every call you made, every time you caused guilt, every time you ignored me until you needed something, I'm not mad. I'm done. Done being your bailout. Done being your backup. The plan. Done being your punching bag for your failures. You say this is tearing the family apart. Breaking news, there is no family. There is a bank with a heart, and it just closed. I owe you nothing. No explanation. No response. No other cent. Goodbye. I sent it to the group chat and left. Then I left the group chat altogether. That night, my phone rang again. I answered. Without saying a word, Ila's voice came through, panicked. Martin, someone just froze my account. My landlord is threatening to evict me. What did you do? I didn't say anything. Are you listening? Are you really going to leave your family homeless? Click. 2 hours later, another number. Devon, you made your point this time. Can we turn the support package back on for this month? We'll figure it out later. I decided not to drag it out any longer. By midnight, they had called 27 times. My apartment was quiet, peaceful. I poured myself another glass of wine, turned on some jazz, and watched the city flicker across the night, the window. And for the first time in my adult life, I felt unnecessary. I felt free. The next morning, the sun woke me. Not a ringing phone, not a desperate email, not a ping from someone in need, just warm, peaceful silence. And in that silence, I noticed something strange. I didn't feel panic. I didn't feel guilty. I felt peaceful. As if my nervous system had finally gotten a break from years of red alert. But peace doesn't come easily when your life is a non-stop emergency room for everyone. For the first week, I kept checking my phone for instinctively, expecting a question like, hey, hurry up, or, can you VMO me? Even just a fake, how are you? Followed by an unspoken question. But nothing happened. Not from Mom, not from Isla, not even Devon. At first, I thought they were finally giving me space. I was wrong. They were rallying because silence is not surrender. It was a tactic, a manipulative pause before the second wave, but I wasn't waiting around for a brace to strike. I forged ahead. That weekend, I drove to the coast. I put my phone on airplane mode and sat for hours just watching the tide crash against the rocks. No thoughts, no family, just the sound of the ocean doing what it had done long before me and what it would do forever after. That night, I got my first full, uninterrupted sleep in over a year. And in the days that followed, I started to take back all that they had drained from me. I went back to the gym, started writing a short story that had been buried in my laptop since 2018. Signed up for cooking classes, and perhaps the boldest move of all, I signed up to speak at a local TIDEX event. My topic, emotional bankruptcy, how families drain us, and how we pick ourselves up. But just as I began to build a new version of myself, the past knocked on my door. A letter arrived. No return address. Inside, a stiff piece of paper, typed, not handwritten. Martin, we all thought you were being unreasonable. You were overreacting. We were just trying to make ends meet. Families should help each other. You hurt everyone when you shut us down. You made us feel small. We felt abandoned. Was that what you wanted? Maybe you forgot where I came from. Think about it, Mom. No love, no apologies, just shame in 14-point font. I put it through the shredder without blinking, but then something unexpected happened. 3 days later, my doorman called. There was a woman here asking for you. She said she was your cousin. Cousin, I hadn't seen Tiffany in over a decade. She was the other stepchild in the family. The tattooed, outspoken girl who had exposed my mother's hypocrisy at Thanksgiving 2011 and was promptly banished from all future gatherings. I haven't heard from her since. Now she's standing in my hallway, wearing combat boots and a motorcycle jacket, holding a folder. "Hey Mart," she said as I walked out. "I'm not here to borrow money." I laughed. It was laughter. My first real conversation in weeks. She sat with me in my apartment for over an hour. We told stories, vented, joked, and then she slid the file across the table. Inside were screenshots, emails, bank statements, Isla, Devin, even my mom. They had all dubbed from the charity, not just for emergencies, but also for transferring the refunds to a second account. Tiffany had discovered this while working at the accounting firm my cousin Devin used, a shell account listed under the name Martin M. Family Trust Extended. My name was on it, but I never created it. They had, and they had used it to transfer another $28,000 over the past year without my consent. Tiffany had done the forensics out of curiosity and vengeance. "I hate how they treated you," she said. "But this is a crime." I sat there, hands shaking. I wanted to feel angry, but what I felt was closure. This was the proof I didn't know I needed. They didn't just use me, they stole from me, lied to my face while smiling. Tiffany offered to help me sue. She had connections, legal advice, even knew an investigative journalist from college who would eat this story was published. But I didn't want a courtroom. I wanted a cleaner place. I opened my laptop, typed a sentence. As of today, Martin M. is not responsible for the debts incurred under the fraudulent family power of attorney. Lawyers have been hired. I emailed the family. Then I quietly sent an anonymous email to the IRS with the documents. 2 weeks later, I got a voice message from Isla, her voice shaking. "Martin, I'm being audited. Someone reported us. Devin is panicking. Mom is crying. Please, is that you?" I deleted it and booked a weekend in Denver, where I gave my TEDx talk to a room full of strangers who applauded as if I had just handed them the keys to their own liberation. I told them about how I had funded every lie, how I had confused giving with loving, and how I had finally chosen myself. As I walked off the stage, a young woman in the front row stood up and said, "Thank you. I didn't know I was allowed to stop. I didn't know until now." It's been over 6 months. 6 months since I lit candles for a dinner no one showed up to us. 6 months since my sister called to tell me it was my birthday, and it was too far to drive to. 6 months since my mom said they were exhausted just trying to withdraw over $3,000 that same night from the fund I'd built in silence. 6 months since I said no more, and in all that time, I haven't spoken to any of them. Not Isla, not Mom, not Devon, but I've never heard from them so much. The group chats I left were still buzzing without me. Passive-aggressive voicemails, guilt-filled letters and subtle threats, silent tears over the phone. From my mom, angry DMs from my girlfriend Devin telling me I destroyed the family legacy and should be ashamed. Legacy? You mean the fraudulent account they created in my name and siphoned $28,000 from? Yes, I destroyed what was built on guilt, and I would do it again because I didn't just abandon them. I stepped into my own skin for the first time in my adult life. I felt like I was living in my own skin, not some emotional uniform. They put me on. The liability, the ATM, the martyr. You want closure. This is what closure looks like. Leela's eviction notice went public 2 months ago. Turns out her landlord didn't see her retreats and wellness blog as enough collateral for the unpaid rent. She tried to reach out through a mutual friend. I didn't respond, but I sent a package small Amazon store. Inside was a ledger, a $0 gift card, and a simple handwritten note that said, "This is what real self-care looks like, Devin." Last I heard, the IRS flagged his phony consulting deductions and froze his accounts. I didn't press charges. The paperwork Tiffany gave me was enough to light a match in every nook and cranny he'd ever been. He sent me a 3-word email. "Are you satisfied now?" I responded with 2 words, "Total freedom," and Mom. She still sent long letters, pages of poetic text wrapped in phrases like, "I just want the best for everyone. You know I love you, even if I don't say it enough. You're so generous." She even sent a childhood photo of me holding a Lego spaceship. The caption read, "Remember when I used to build things instead of tearing them down?" He framed that picture not because he missed her, but because it reminded him that he had once written for joy, not out of obligation. Now he missed her. The novel he'd buried for years was finally finished. It was called Dinner at 6, a story of conditional love. His publisher said it made them cry, that it was like a revolution disguised as a confession. And here was the surprise. It was dedicated to two people. One was Melanie Ila's old best friend, the woman he'd quietly sent $500 2 years ago, so she could escape an abusive relationship and now lived in Portland with her wife and daughter. She'd emailed him out of the blue to say the money had saved his life. Her silence spoke louder than their noise to Riley, his niece, the only innocent soul in the wreckage. She sent him a letter in the online newspaper with a rainbow sticker. On the envelope, "I miss you. Mom said you're not mad anymore." But she still cried. "Will you ever come back? If I bake your favorite cookies, you'll help." It broke my heart, but I didn't come back. Instead, I sent her a book, The Little Prince, with highlighted passages about domesticity, love, and responsibility. Inside, I wrote, "I'll always be here, just not always where you expect me to be. It's not your job to fix adults, you are free." I still send her birthday gifts anonymously. Someday, if she grew up into the type of person who chose the truth instead of traditional, I would tell her everything about my part. I have built a new life. I no longer check the bank account with fear. Julia still remembered Julia, the social worker I met after TEDx's talk in Denver. Me, you have broken the system that is crushing you. Kai is reading this article. For anyone who has been a person who has given silently, is no one to thank. The birthday that everyone forgets. You are not cruel when you stop. I want to take a moment to share how I'm feeling after everything I've been through. It's been a long journey of realizing my own worth, setting boundaries, and choosing peace over pain. While it wasn't easy, I finally feel a sense of freedom and hope for the future. A chance to live authentically and with more joy. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my story today. It means more than I can say. If you found this video meaningful, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to support this channel. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, your comments, and feedback. Help me grow and make this space better for everyone. Take care, and remember, your happiness matters just as much as anyone else's.